just starting off, I mean, this shows you my quite meandering career, and I've just sort of listed out a few things here that I've journeyed through. It's been varied, and I actually think for a long time that was a negative on the CV. Why hasn't she got any staying power? Why isn't she staying around? Well, actually, I think being able to turn your hand to different things, particularly in business, is really important, because as an entrepreneur, you need to be able, as I'm discovering with the book, you need to be able to do marketing and write it and sort out logistics and do the back end and the front end. So actually, I would say to everyone, embrace opportunity, because everything you do enriches your experience and enriches your knowledge. And next time you come across that challenge in the road, you'll have more resilience in your back pocket to deal with it. But let me start about talking about debt. Like I said, debt really isn't a bad word. And I think it's important that we move away from saying almost with pride that there's no debt in the company when you don't necessarily understand what the opportunity debt can provide. So let's look at a few things that debt can give you and why I think it's something you should at least consider. So first of all, if you're using debt to finance your growth or your expansion, you're going to keep control of your company. Debt is very flexible. Your commitment is to pay the interest payments and to repay the capital that you've borrowed, but you're not giving up any ownership of the business. How you deliver it, how you grow that business is entirely down to you. So you retain 100% ownership. And I think, if this is your baby, this may be something that has value to you. And it's something that certainly shouldn't be given up lightly when you go down the equity route. So debt is a way of expanding without having to give up ownership. Debt is also delightfully tax deductible. So your interest payments, you can offset against your tax bill. You can't do this with dividends. With dividends, you pay them out of after-tax income. So if you're able to reduce your tax bill, what you've therefore got is either a lower cost of debt. Another way of putting it is you perhaps got more retained earnings that you can then put back into your business to grow it. So that's another huge advantage of debt that is often really overlooked. And because it being tax deductible and because of how it fits in the capital structure, it also improves your return. And I'll come back onto this in a minute. Another really key important factor of using debt to expand your company is it doesn't burden you with additional reporting requirements. Like I said, you own 100% of the company still, unless you've already brought equity investors in previously. So you don't have people who are going to be asking you for reports and want to sit in on meetings and that you need to communicate with to tell them how you're spending their money. What the bank needs to know, or whoever you've borrowed from, is that you're repaying your interest payments when they ask you to, and you repay the capital when you ask them to. But that's pretty much it. And the other thing about debt is it's quite known. So when you have an offer for debt, that's what you're going to get. That interest payment will stay the same if it's a fixed rate debt until the end of the tenure when you pay it back. So you can build this into your models and you can build it into your forecast. And knowing your outgoings can be quite valuable as a business. So again, that's something that is worth remembering when you're thinking about debt. And none of these things are bad. These are actually all positive things for a company. But I want to talk a little bit more about how it improves your return, because having some debt in your business may be what you need to attract investors. And that might sound a bit odd for anyone who's watched Dragon's Den, which is this very unusual but very watchable investment program. They often look quite negatively on debt. But let's look at two companies. Company A, who has never used any debt, and they've got, the company itself is worth £1 million, and that's all equity. Let's just say all equity to the owner. And they're making a net income of £100,000. So their return on their equity is 10%. It's a good number. But let's look at Company B. Company B has £500,000 in debt and £500,000 equity. Its total capital is still £1 million. And its net income is still 100,000. But now its return on its equity is 20%. So the way the capital structure is set up will affect your return on equity. And if investors are looking for a higher return, sometimes you can get that by having a bit of debt in your capital structure. And you'll generally find that most businesses will have a mixture of debt and equity, partly to also reduce the costs of the borrowing, the costs of the financing, because one, it reduces costs, but it also can increase your return. And that, again, is really valuable. But let's now talk about equity, because I know that many of you are thinking about bringing people in, bringing in investors. So let's talk about a bit more about what that actually means. And this is the roadmap I mentioned earlier. Now, these aren't hard and fast lines. There are venture companies who will do seed level. There are angels who will go further off. But this is just to give you a sort of ballpark. So when you're talking about a seed funding, you're typically under sort of 2 million. You're probably going to do a first friends and family raise. You may go through an incubator. And I'd really recommend looking at incubators, because they can help you hone your pitch. They can really help you bring the business together. You may be reaching out to angels. What you'll generally find is you'll have people with making individual investments, maybe from 5K upwards. And really, for a couple of reasons, I think it's always worthwhile talking to platforms who bring investors together. There are a number of them. One, because it means that you've got one person to talk to. It's much easier to raise money if you're getting it in clips of 50,000 than if you're getting them in clips of 5, a lot less time consuming. But also you tend to find that investors, no matter which part of the rich scale they're in, like to invest with people they know. So they like to invest as part of a community, because often that means that there's someone in that community who knows a bit more about it than they do. There's some level of due diligence that they don't need to do. Maybe the syndicate or the platform they're investing through does some due diligence for them. So that can give the investors an extra level of trust. So I definitely recommend, if you're in that stage, do look around at some of the platforms that are out there that bring investors together, because I think that can be quite time efficient. Once you've grown your business and you're now looking to really build it out, you've got a proof of concept, you're now looking to make that into a bigger business, you're looking to add substance, you've probably got a valuation of sort of 10 mil or above, you're going into a really Series A round. And that's where your business is probably worth up to about 15 million. And in here, you've still got angels, some of the bigger angels. You might be doing some crowdfunding, that can exist here. And you start to see venture capitalists coming in. They're looking for substance. They're looking for how to grow the business. The next stage from that is your Series B. And here, this is more about expansion, how you're growing your consumer base. Ideally, you want some of your previous investors to stay on this journey with you. I mean, otherwise, they're going to be diluted. But you generally find that some investors, once you've got them at Series A, will come back at Series B. VC will still be around. Where private equity and investment banks tend to get involved is more sort of Series C, the bigger valuations. You can get private equity, I said, in sort of the 40 mil, you can, but they tend to prefer bigger multiples. And this is really what they're looking for, is how you get that business to IPO, to global expansion. And that can be the exit at that point. But if companies perhaps need an extra push, or perhaps they haven't raised enough money in some of these rounds, there can be further rounds. So you can have Series D, you can even have Series E. And it can be that they want to bolt on extra divisions perhaps before they go to the IPO. But that's really the roadmap. But I think what's the most important thing to remember as you're going along this route is, by bringing in equity, you're selling parts of your company. So you will gain things from bringing in equity investors, but you're also giving something up. You're giving up a percentage of your company and therefore a percentage of the upside. And that's something that I think people don't often think through enough when they are looking at the difference between sort of the debt and equity mix. So let's look a little bit more about what an equity investment really means. And I put the positives at the bottom, because I think people are often very comfortable with going to ask for equity. So what does it mean to get an equity investment? Well, firstly, equity is more expensive than debt. And you can think of this in a couple of ways. So first of all, I've already mentioned how debt is, the interest payments on debt are tax deductible. So you can really reduce your cost of capital that way. But also, let's just think about, you've taken on let's say you're a £500,000 business and you take on 100K in debt, even if you're paying 12% interest rate over 5 years and the business grows to, let's say it doubles thanks to your 100K, you've made 500,000 and you've got 100K to pay back, plus you've probably got 60 grand in interest payments. I'm not compounding, I'm making the maths easy. So you sort of got £360,000 worth of upside. If you got the same from equity, you'd probably need to give up 20% of your business. So that business may have grown by 500,000, but you only own 80% of it. You're only owning sort of 800,000 of it. So your return has already come down compared to what it would have been had you gone through debt. So those are the two different ways to think about the cost, because with equity, someone else is sharing in your upside. And this is like the ownership part of it. You are selling part of your firm. You also have paperwork. So friends of mine were on Dragon's Den. They got an investment, which was amazing. They got 2 dragons. And I bumped into them and said, how's it going? Because they're doing incredibly well. And they were very happy. But I was interested that their first comment was, oh, it's a lot of reporting. The investors want to know where we are, how we're spending our cash. They want annual reports, they want quarterly reports, they want to know what our decision making is on certain items. That can be a really positive experience. It can really help hone your thinking and you can learn a lot from that. But it also means that you could be bogged down in a bit of paperwork. And these are just things to be aware of before you take on an equity investment. The other thing is the time factor. Fundraising always takes longer than you think, always. I put often in here, but I think the word always should probably be there. I've never found it quicker than I've expected it to be. And the other thing about an equity investment rather than a debt investment is your terms and conditions can change until you get the money. I mean, never pop the champagne cork until the money hits your account, because the person making that investment may suffer their own liquidity crisis. They may want to change what they're doing. So you may find that they've agreed to invest at Series B 5 million, but actually when it comes to it, they've only got 2.5 million. When you get an offer from a debt offer, it's often a little bit more reliable, shall we say, because you've got that offer written down and the relationship. The other thing to really think through when you are taking on an equity investor is this is not married at first sight. You know, you were going to be in a long-term relationship. It might be 5 years, it might be 8 years, it may be longer. This is somebody that you want to be on the same page with. You want them to be part of your team. You want to grow with them. So choose wisely, because investors are just as idiosyncratic and as different as people looking for investment. So make sure you do your due diligence. You find people that either can push you to be the person you want to be, can complement you, and you have a mixture. Some people are very active, but you probably don't want 10 active investors because you'll have no time to actually do any of the work. So having that combination of active and passive, and really think about your investor base. But there are positives, and I certainly don't want to suggest that getting equity investors is the wrong thing, because actually it can be amazing. It can be life-changing. You know, equity investors, particularly what I'm seeing at the moment, is this desire to give back, this desire to pass on their knowledge. They can provide expertise, they can open doors, they can help raise additional finance, they can potentially provide businesses that can come and bolt on, so part of your expansion. That can be really what they can help with. And the other really important thing about equity is it's a risk transfer. You know, if your business goes under or your expansion fails, and you've used equity to finance that, well, the investor is the one that's lost out. Whereas if it's a debt, as I said, it's coming back to you, and sometimes there's personal guarantees involved. Not always, so do shop around, but make sure you understand the risk transfer. And I think that's another really important part of why, for me, I think a mixture of debt and equity makes an awful lot of sense for businesses as they grow. Let's think about the other side of it. You're looking for investment. What are investors looking for? And I would say, particularly with sort of the early stage, so the angel, the venture, they're looking for great people. They're looking to invest in you. And sometimes I often think they're more interested in the person than the business idea, because they want somebody who is knowledgeable, who's got experience. They want to know that you can lead the team. They really want to understand that you have that passion, that resilience, and they're looking for you. So make sure you present yourself in a way that shows that, and make sure you find people that you match up with. I often find as well with investors, increasingly they're looking for some sort of validation within their own network. You're in a group of people looking for investment, investors in groups looking for places to invest. And if you have often a lead investor, then other people will follow. You might find that someone will say, oh, so-and-so's in that deal, therefore I'll go and join it. So it's important to remember that when you're talking to investors, you may, by getting one investor, you actually might get more. So every investor matters that you talk to. But also, I think it's again worthwhile thinking about platforms that offer some level of community that they're building up for investors, or some level of due diligence, because that will give the investors a bit more confidence in making that investment themselves. And there are more and more companies that are looking to do that and to help build these communities for investors. The other thing, and it goes without saying, is investors are looking for a great return. They want provable, scalable businesses. So really make sure that you're talking about pretty much upfront why your business has got potential, what percentage of the market you plan to capture, how you can prove that, how you've got traction, how you can grow your traction, why have you been able to deliver, what's next, and make sure you can really explain and articulate what that means. The bottom one really goes without saying, but know your figures. And things you want to think about is burn rate, projected growth, earnings, how long until you're profitable, what are you spending the cash on, how much additional cash do you need? Because I've talked about how raising funding takes longer than you expect. Have you raised enough in that round? Is that going to last you? If it's going to be 18 months until you can go back, can you make it to 18 months? Have you thought this through? And also, if you've got customers, what's the cost of acquiring them? Do you know that? Do you know the life cycle of your customer? These are the sort of things you need to have on the tip of your tongue. And then when you're talking to people, obviously be succinct. Pictures that are more than 15 pages, I think, are a bit long. And I'd also say practice in person and practice online. I love talking on stage. It's my preferred place to be. I wanted to be an actress as a child. That never happened. Now I really enjoy when I get to stand up on stage. Where I've found it much more challenging is in events like this. So being online where you're looking at a screen and you can't often see anyone else. And it's taken me a lot of practice. I've done sometimes practice to friends, talking to them on Zoom, just getting more comfortable. Make sure you practice in as many forums as possible so that when you do your first pitch, it's as good as it can be. And remember, you need to give them a reason to keep reading. Your first page has to have the best stuff in it. Your second page has to have the second best stuff in. You're not building up tension to the end for your final big reveal. Put it at the front. Give them the reason why they should take you seriously, why this business has potential. It's very much like when you write an article for the press. You put your best stuff at the beginning. So remember that. Give them a reason to want to keep reading and to want to keep talking to you. The other thing I wanted to highlight, because you probably won't see a lot of this, is ESG. Now, in the public markets, there's a big concern about greenwashing, and this is where people are presenting investment opportunities and saying this is a way you can deliver on environmental or social or sustainable or governance goals. And sometimes there's substance to that, and sometimes it's more marketing than anything else. Where I think it's much clearer that people can make a difference is in private investments, because they can have a role. You are investing directly in a business. You can potentially have 20% ownership of that business, or perhaps a little bit more. You can absolutely help move the needle. And I think if you've got a business in that space, really trumpet how important that is and how you're moving the needle and how they can make a difference and how their input can really help deliver, because people are increasingly concerned about ESG, and it differs quite whether it's the E or the S or the G, dependent on where you are globally. So know your market, know what is the most important letter of the three, and make sure you use it in your pitches. And then the final thing is, when you're going in there, you're wanting money. Investors all want to know they're going to get their money back. They want to know your strategy. So have a thought about it. How are you going to return that money to them? Is it an IPO? Is it a buyout? What are you looking to do? Are you looking to raise more money? Really make sure you understand that this is a relationship that might last for a number of years, but there is an end point and there is going to be liquidity and how that comes about. And I would say that's also very important and is often something that's missed when people are talking about investment. And then I want to sort of change tack a little bit, because I love this quote from Richard Branson, and he talks about business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming. And that's really true. You know, everything we've talked about up until now has been this straight road of raising finance to grow your business organically, but there are other ways of doing it, and there are always other opportunities around. And I really want to end on this and looking at the different types of opportunities. These numbers are just for the UK, but the UK isn't alone in having large numbers of SMEs. It's not alone in having, I want to say old, because I'm getting closer towards some of these numbers, but having a proportion of people who are close to retirement. And it's certainly not alone of having been through COVID and where we've seen economic inactivity shoot up. That means that people have taken themselves out of the workforce. We've got a lot of business owners who really want to step back. They want to spend more time with their family. They want to be able to change their working habits, and they are looking for new owners. Now, up until now, the general options for them have been to either close the business or to sell it. And particularly if you've grown a very large business and you're selling to private equity, they come in and they generally say, can you stay on for 2 years and continue to run this business? And then they break it up into pieces and they take the crown jewels, and your business isn't what you've built, or you sell it to your competitor who you spent 30 years fighting and you don't really want to do that. So there are business owners who would really value meeting you and having you take on their business and you growing it. And you can really do that in 2 ways. So you can either do it as, I'm a person, I'm brilliant, I want to be an entrepreneur, I'd like to get some people to back me to go and find a business to buy. And that's a search fund route. Search funds have existed since the early 80s. They were really started by Stanford. There's a really active search fund community globally, and you can join things like searchfunds.com to find out more about search funds. But this is really where someone will fund you to go and look for a business. When you find a business, you then take it back to them, assuming you all agree and you see value in that. They will then help you buy that business and you will go in as CEO. Often your investors will form part of your board and they will help you grow that business to an exit, typically 5 years down the line. And that's another great way of having your entrepreneurial journey. And then the other way of having this entrepreneurial journey, but taking advantage of all these businesses that are out there, is to do the buy and build, where you've got your business, you'd like it to be bigger, you'd like to expand. You could grow that organically, or you could find a complementary business that you can buy and you can bolt on. This can also be termed as M&A growth strategy if you were to sort of look at different terms. But both of these ways generally have really high returns, because what you're buying is established businesses with recurring cash flows, with markets, with goodwill. In a way, they're a lot less risky than an angel investment. And what you're doing is you are then giving these businesses a new lease of life, because you're bringing your enthusiasm, your energy to a business that, you know, if someone's looking to retire, they probably haven't invested in the latest tech. They probably haven't worked 90 hours a day for the past 5 years in the way that you're going to. So if you come in, just simple investments might even push down your bottom line. And then you've got the ability through your hard work and your experience and your determination to grow the top line. And there's an opportunity to really make a difference and to grow these existing businesses. So that's pretty much all there is from me. Just really to summarize and say, finance is an enabler. It's there to help you achieve your goals. There's a huge amount of different options. So make sure you use finance to achieve your goals and not be led by finance. So make it consistent with what you want to do. So that's pretty much my presentation. And I hope it's been helpful. I'll stop sharing now. And I think it's time to open up for Q&A.
Wow, Sara.
I think I'm just getting a visitation.
That's incredible. Ladies, now I want to see how excited are you? How much have you learned today? New things that you didn't know before, from 1 to 10. What is the number you'd give to this presentation? Write it down. Write it down in the chat from 1 to 10. How much have you learned? New things that you haven't heard before. And how are you going to take some action? Oh my God, you got so many 10s, Sara. So many. But I was blown away. I've been doing screen, even though it's recorded, it's going to be in the academy. And here's the thing, you can't just assume that, okay, I heard it and I will remember it. Never, I heard it a long time ago in a powerful presentation, say, never trust your memory. You have to write notes, and you have to write also your feedback down. You have to do screenshots, you have to do pictures, you have to brainstorm, you have to talk. Even you know what you do after this? The best way to learn, after you write notes, you go and listen to this presentation again, and you talk with somebody in the house, or if with a friend tomorrow, or brainstorm, or with your students. Just talk about it, because you can't learn just, I listened it and then that's done. It has been incredible. What an incredible masterclass. This is powerful. Thank you so much, Sara. Yes, I'm going to give the opportunity to a few questions from the room. So let's see who is in the room. Ladies, raise your hand if you have a question, because very soon we are going to run to the excitement part. So we're going to invite the members to have a 1-minute pitch in front of Sara. So any questions so far? I see Michelle Newman. Yes, my darling, introduce yourself and what is your question?
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Michelle Newman. I am the founder of a midlife women's academy called the New Mid Academy, and also podcast with the same name. From my academy, I'm also starting to be an executive coach with some global companies, billion-dollar companies, which is exciting. It just so happens, you know, when you put something out in the universe, in the world, how things open up. I just so happen to have a potential investors lunch on February 28th coming up. I started this company. It's not my name.
Michelle, darling, can you just go, because we'll move to the pitch later.
Okay, now, I just want to know,
question.
For this lunch with this potential investor, what are the top 3 things I need to have for that lunch?
Okay, super.
So I would say, number 1, find out about the investor. What are they interested in? Because if they're going to make an investment, why are they making it? Are they an investor who likes to come in and grow businesses? Are they altruistic? What is their rationale for making an investment? So I'd want to know more about them, because many investors will invest for reasons of they want to help, but other people want to invest because they want, they have a big portfolio and it's just a case of adding an extra business, and for them it will be about the return. So do some research on the investor first and foremost. Know who they are. Know that you like them, know that you want to work with them. I mean, this is really important. In some ways, you need to choose your investor as much as they choose you. Second, absolutely know why you are the best thing ever for them. And make sure they understand it. Help them understand why this business opportunity you're giving them is going to be amazing, and how it's going to deliver for them, and how you're going to make them some money. And how you're going to get that money back to them. And also have thoughts in your mind about, the equity side and how much you're willing to give up and what you're going to get for that. One thing I didn't mention on this is we often talk about equity investors coming in because they give you a level of expertise, but that's not the only way you can get expertise. Advisory boards are brilliant. I mean, I chair an advisory board. Because it's a way of bringing in that expertise without giving away your equity. So that's another way you can think about doing things. But if you're going to talk to an investor, find out about them, and be very much about this is a meeting. This is almost a marriage. You're going to be in a business relationship with someone for so long. So have confidence that you're offering them something, but they're also offering you something.
Do you put this in a packet so that they can walk away with it?
You're going to need some sort of pitch deck.
Okay.
You get a really good polished pitch deck. I keep it short. I wouldn't have more than 15 pages. I mean, if you can't get someone hooked in 3, you've got no chance.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Good luck with your potential investor, Michelle, and keep us posted when you get it. And what I can say, you got this. You know, I love this expression. You got this. You have to tell yourself in front of the mirror every day. You got this, Michelle. You got this. Wonderful. Okay, so let me check the time. Okay, it's now time to go to the pitching. I can see right. Let me see. Okay, how about Tanya, I see your video on now. Okay, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Sara, for the wonderful presentation. A quick question: is the raising for funds the same for a company that is like, for example, limited company and a non-profit organization, or the process is a bit different? And obviously, the investors that we pitch.
I'd say they're similar. I mean, if you find people doing fundraising for charities, for example, they may have come in and out. Where it's different is more on the tax side. So understanding the tax side. So one thing I didn't mention is if you're like an angel, you've got the EIS, but if it's a charity, it's a very different tax setup. So make sure people who understand the tax and they can help people with that, and you have the right business banking relationships, because the touch points will be a little bit different. So I'd say that's more important. But, you know, for a charity, you need somebody who understands what the charity is all about. You're selling a charitable aim rather than a business aim. So you know, you're looking to tap into philanthropic people, of which there are a lot. There are an awful lot. And a lot of the big banks all have huge philanthropic arms. So speak to them, find out what they're interested in, try to build those relationships, because you know, maybe you could be a funnel of which the money comes through. There are lots of different ways to tap that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, wonderful. Now we have only 20 minutes left for the members to pitch their business. How we do it usually, Sara, is every time we organize an event and the members say, oh, who is the speaker? Say, you are the speaker. We encourage women to take the microphone, because this is our mantra. If you want to empower a woman, give her a microphone. So we want to give the microphone to our members so they can introduce themselves. In 1 minute, you have to, otherwise we call it the elevator pitch. You have 1 minute time to impress everybody in the room and to tell Sara what is your business and why your business is so special. So just show us the best side of what you do. So who wants to start? Tracy, you're smiling. I know you are great. How about we start with you, because you can set the standards of some amazing, beautiful energies. Let's put some beautiful energy in the room, and let's get started with some amazing ideas that we're going to share tonight in front of Sara. Tracy, tell us about you and your business.
Thank you so much, Marilla. Hi, everybody. I'm Tracy Stone, and I am a transformation whisperer. I help people to be able to tap into the life that they want. This is just an incredible ability to be able to get people to the next level that they want to be at, whether it's in their business, whether it's their personal life, their relationships. What I do is work deeply with people to help them to get rid of the limiting blocks, the limiting beliefs. And in a single session, yes, a single session, I specialize in being able to get people beyond the limitations that they have set for themselves or that others have set for them, into the life that they actually want to be living. And it's an amazing feeling. And I offer people the opportunity to truly step into the life that they want to have. And with doing it in one single session. It is a long session, but it's very empowering, and it teaches people the skill that they need in order to be able to program their own mind for success. And this is a skill they get to keep for the rest of their lives. So I love helping women and men as well to be able to achieve what they want in life. And I have a free offer for everybody who would like a little touch of that. I will be happy to share with you a meditation which will help people. Forgive the background noise. I'm on holiday here in Fuerteventura, and the apartment next door are laughing on their balcony. I can offer a free meditation for people on the theme of living limitless, and it stars my voice and some lovely background music to help people. So I will drop a link into the chat, and I'd be delighted to let you know of anything I can do to help.
Wonderful. Wow. Sara, how impressed are you?
I just want you in my life.
Thank you.
It sounds really great. And what I'm seeing increasingly is an interest in wellness and an understanding of, so I'm very interested in mental health, clearly with the book that I've written, but in understanding a much more holistic focus on people's lives. We're no longer robots, thankfully. The one thing I would say is when you're talking to people like an investor, this is meant to be an investor pitch, wellness is great, but you also need to work out how for an investor that makes money. And I know people
this is not for an investor. This is not for an investor.
Fair enough. And that's absolutely fine. Then
to her clients, potential clients.
Apologies, I misunderstood.
No
But still, it can be potential in investors saying, hey, I like what you do. How about we turn it into something bigger?
Completely. I mean, it just sounds wonderful. And you've got the most amazing voice.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wonderful. And now I'm not surprised why your podcast is so successful, Tracy.
Thanks, Morella.
Okay, how about now we pick a director? Who is a director here in the room who is ready to pitch in front of Sara? Linda is smiling. I want to pitch.
Hello.
Hi, my darling. I think you already met
you?
Sara in person, but I'm not sure Sara knows everything about you. In 1 minute, you have your chance to tell us everything about what you do for women, for mothers, for business. Tell us.
Well, my name is Micaela Passeri, and I am the director of the Global Woman.
I thought I invited Linda.
Oh, sorry.
It's
I didn't
okay.
hear that. No. Go ahead, Linda. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. So thanks for the invitation, Morella. So my name is Linda Atchfam, and I am the Global Woman Club Regional Director for Accra, Ghana. But outside of Global Woman, I'm a businesswoman. I've been in business for the past 22 years. My core business is in property. So I purchase property, I invest in property, I develop property from the ground up, and I rent it out to people that can't afford to purchase their own homes. So in terms of my experience, it's been over a period of 22 years, and I've used a numerous amount of strategies. And for anyone that's interested in using property for wealth creation and wanting to know how my journey has expanded using property, I'll be more than willing to offer you a free session. But if I was pitching this to an investor, I would also say that I currently use debt to raise the profile of my business, because I was grown up knowing not to use debt, because debt was a bad word in my family. And now I use good debt to grow my business. I'm actually using private investors for my business to grow it and to expand it. But I do have some questions that I would like to ask Sara, but I'll do that offline. But for those of you that are interested in property, it's been a great wealth creation tool for me. If you want to know how I do it, you want to share my story, I'll be more than happy to offer you a free session. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And you didn't invite the ladies for your Accra meeting.
No, because I thought you wanted us to pitch business, but obviously Accra is my business too. Yeah, Accra is my business, most definitely. And so, yes, so my next meeting will be on Thursday, the 23rd of February. And we're going to be talking all about self-care, how to energize and empower yourself through self-care. It's online and it's at 5 p.m. Accra time, 5 p.m. UK time as well. So if you'd like to come along to that meeting, please do. We have lots and lots of energy in our Accra meetings. It's online. We do networking. You learn a lot as well, pitching your business. You also have that opportunity to do that, and masterminding about any business problems or challenges that you have. So please do come along. I will share the link in the chat for you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Now we'll go back to a member and then I will come back to you, Michaela. So how about we go to Camila, another star member.
Hi, everyone. It's been such a great masterclass. Thank you very much. My name is Camila Quintana. I'm the founder of The Empowered Expat Woman, where I provide coaching, workshops, courses, and content through my podcast and YouTube channel for women who moved abroad, helping them to dream and play bigger, to stop second guessing themselves, and to start fully trusting in themselves and in the future they're creating abroad. This is my business. I'm not sure I'm pitching this to an investor, but yeah, happy for your feedback anyway, Sarah.
Okay, Sara, probably you can give a feedback both to Linda and Camila. Very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived abroad, Camilla. I lived in Japan for a year. Where I was spat at for being a witch because I had blonde hair, and I got sort of forcibly removed from dress shops because I was considered too fat to actually buy any clothes. So I think it would have been amazing to have your business then to give that support, because we all need support.
Yeah,
we absolutely all need support in all different ways. And something I've got in the book is additional support for parents, because we're all helping to support other people. So we need support for ourselves to do our own journey so we can then support others. So I think what you're doing is great, because people, when they're away from home, you're in two camps. It's either euphoric or it's absolute hell. No safety net. So to provide that and to give people a more balanced experience, I think would be brilliant. And Linda, I love property. I mean, it's been my world as well for not quite as long as yours, but it has been a great way to grow wealth. It's changed a lot. Some of the tax changes have made a big difference. And I think now we have to go down the company route rather than do it in your own name, which is a really important change. And there's lots of clients I'm working with having to transition from own name through various structures to get them into limited companies. And I think making people aware of that, because landlords aren't evil. They're often it's just a business and we're trying to run it. And often, like, you're doing something incredible. You're providing people a home. So I'm really grateful that you're in this space and you're doing that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm loving the energy. I'm loving the interaction. So let's move to Michaela. Where in the world are you? From LA to Florence?
I am still in Florence. Yes, I'm still in Florence. So, hello, Sarah, first of all, this was a really amazing presentation and lots of nuggets that you shared. So thank you so much for that. I've used debt to 10x my business, so I'm very familiar with the debt strategies, and I highly recommend doing it very responsibly, but using debt to advance your business. So my name is Micaela Pastri, and I am the Global Woman Director of the Los Angeles Club and newly formed Florence Club, shall I say. We finally got our first member yesterday. And I'm a business strategist, an emotional intelligence business strategist. I support entrepreneurial women to master their emotions around money and success so that they can actually take the actionable steps that are necessary to monetize their business and have it become viable. So that's what I do.
That's very important, especially we women. Sometimes we are accused like very emotional. So we're learning how to handle our emotions and do good business. Okay.
Exactly.
See, Caroline is moving her head. Caroline, is your
turn.
And
sometimes business is business. We don't have to get our emotions in it, right? It's just a business transaction or business decision. So yeah.
Let's go to Caroline, and then we get some feedback for both Michaela and Caroline.
Thank you, Marella. I absolutely concur with the emotional aspect of health. I mentioned before in the group when we met, I mean, if I was to pitch this to you, Sara, and dealing with my own emotionals of like being a healer that's trying to work their business so it is okay to receive on the financial level as well. Here we are. So I would leave that one out of the pitch. But so you know a bit about me. I mean, I'm a herbalist, naturopath, and nutritionist, and many other varieties of healing all into one. But my the way that I work is I am now starting to run courses, writing books. I've written books because my passion in life and what I do on a one-on-one and now I'd like to get to a global stage is to educate people how to help themselves, because I feel it's really empowering when you know that this in your kitchen cupboard is going to really help boost your immune system, or you know your kids have got croup and what do you do to that, rather than having to contact the doctor for antibiotics and you go around this cycle. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, but everything has its place. So I'm really interested in getting as much of this information out there so that we can empower ourselves to self-heal and really to help our communities locally and globally. So I'm working on doing this with courses. Like I said, I do this with one-on-ones. I have a long-term plan, which of course is a kind of like new health version. I really do have a big goal there. It's here, you know, my husband's an osteopath and we have this kind of the way that we see health can be is incredibly holistic. You bring in doctors and you're dealing with the mind, body, spirit with Michaela, all of this, you know, bringing it all together. So I would say if I was to pitch, I mean, for me, it would be to be able to grow the marketing side of my business, to be able to get to a large variety of people globally wise would be where I would need financial investment for, is to be able to put those structures in place in my business so I can do what I'm best at, which is transmuting that knowledge into practical know-how. So yeah, you give me some direction if you have it, please, my darling.
Okay, you did a great job. Well done, Caroline. Absolutely. So let's hear to our expert, Sara. What do you think about Michaela and Caroline?
I mean, again, it's lovely to hear such diverse businesses rather than sort of the things that I've often hear about. If you're looking to bring someone in and you're looking to bring a marketing arm, I've been marketing my own book. I know it's challenging. Like marketing, you know, it's an art. Think about what that person will deliver, how much they'll add to your business, understand why you need them, understand are you bringing them in or is it something you're contracting? Also think about collaboration. I think, you know, the way businesses are going is we're looking where, you know, lots of ideas have sprung up and there's a lot of little green shoots everywhere. And it may be that the ones that survive are the ones that come together. Yeah. The ones that manage to work in harmony with others, and maybe there's someone doing what you're doing in a different district, in a different country, and you can create that platform together and you can share resources. I would certainly say to have a look at that, because, you know, having one marketing person doing it for 10 people is probably not much more of a job than having one doing it just for you.
Right. Thank you. That's spot on advice. Yeah, thank you for that. I have someone in mind for that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And Mirella, if I could, I forgot to share my Los Angeles event, which is happening this Friday. So if anybody wants to join virtually, we're having a virtual monthly event for February. I'll put the link in the chat right now. So please join us.
I also shared my link on Friday. So no excuses, ladies. If you can't meet us in person, you can meet us online. So you have the link for Friday in-person meeting in London and the link for Friday online meeting with Michaela and LA ladies who wants to go in LA. Now, let me bring a member from LA, Susan Tradegold. She's here with us right now. And then we bring another directors, Giovanna, I hope you're still there. So let's bring, again, one member and one director to do their pitch. Susan, are you there?
I am. I'm in the car now. So if you don't mind me doing it from the car, I wasn't necessarily pitching for investment, although I was listening in because I've just been asked to be on a board of a company, and we are trying to figure out the debt equity structure. So that was a really, really helpful overview. So thank you for that. Just in terms of myself, my background is in investment banking, but I wasn't the investment banking that was structuring deals. I was in institutional equity sales and later corporate broking. But what I do now is I'm a high performance coach and biohacking expert. And for those who don't know what biohacking is, that is using science and technology to optimize our wellness. And so being in San Diego, I'm at the epicenter of longevity and all those products there. And what I truly believe, I wrote the book, The High Performing Woman, and I really think that energy is the currency of exponential impact. The more energy that we have, the more things that we can create in our work, in our relationships, and our health. So I work with women. If you go to my website, susantreadgold.com, there's a 21-day energy challenge that everybody can take. And that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Suzanne. We miss you here in London, and drive safely. And I will see you, in the LA conference in May. Probably,
Yes.
Sarah, we are going together. Are you coming to the family office conference in LA? Let's go together, and you can come and speak in LA.
Oh my God, I'd love that.
No, in LA, we're doing a big conference with Michaela and I lost the name of my director now.
Carla.
Yes, where is Carla? So, Sara, at the beginning of May, we have another family office conference, the same as we went in London. And then we finish that, and then we can have you as a speaker in our Global Women Club LA conference.
Oh, that would be delightful. I'd love to.
Okay, we're meeting soon for a coffee. And
there's nothing nicer than talking to other women. I'm so overwhelmed by everyone.
Okay, I will make it happen, ladies. I will bring, by the way, Susan, I'm going to bring Sara in LA. I promise. Okay, where is my lovely Giovanna, my darling? I left Giovanna at the end because it's now 7 o'clock, because she's the darling. And I introduced you with Giovanna, Sara, earlier. She's the pioneer. She's the one who started this movement with me. She's my rock. So Giovanna, whatever you say is just full of energy. She's sugar. Tell us.
Thank you, Mirella. Thank you for the introduction. Sara, I want to thank you for an amazing presentation. I personally enjoy a lot. I think that you gave a lot of golden nuggets. And I love the fact that there are so many women listening to this. So now, as many of you might know, I am the director of the Global Women Club here in Amsterdam, leading the community. And well, Mirella just explained that we started together the whole journey, creating clubs globally. Besides that, I also have a background in trading. I have been trading for the last 15 years with a lot of success. That's what I have been doing since, let's say in 2011, I started in the world of cryptos. I did the good choice in buying Bitcoins at that time. And now what I am doing with my free time is I am educating women in personal finances. I became a blogger. That's what I do now. And one of my blogs has become one of the best for personal finance for women. And I am very dedicated to educate women as well, because it's so, for me, it has been a journey to empower women to come more into the financial sector. I do believe that there is a lot of opportunity for women to start getting knowledge about what is the trading, what is the investing world. You just give a lot of information related to debt, to business, investing. I do believe that there is still a gap when it comes to this kind of information. And one of my missions is to empower women to come and to learn a little bit more about what is happening in the financial sector right now, and all the opportunities that we can find in there as a businesswoman indeed. And well, that's what I do. And thank you for sharing your knowledge. And yeah, and I am very glad that I came here to listen to your pitch. So yeah, that's me.
Oh, thank you, Giovanna. Bless you. You are amazing. It's 7 o'clock. We have 2 more directors and a few more members in the room. But the good news is that we are going to finalize with another break room session where you will get to know each other a little bit more. And Sara has a limited time, but if you can give some feedback to Giovanna, we'll let you go, Sara.
Yeah, I mean, I love your mission. I'm on the same mission, really. I've got 2 passions. One is mental health for children, and the other one is financial inclusion. Because I think it's women, I think it's children from different backgrounds who don't necessarily understand it. To be honest, anybody. I mean, I've sat in investment banking where people know everything there is to know about a certain nugget of finance, but have absolutely no understanding of a different nugget of finance, because sometimes it's the language, sometimes the complexity of it. And sometimes it's just people don't want others to get involved because that's where they can still charge them a high fee for having a role to play. An intermediary. So I think that it's brilliant, and I think the more people that can be involved in both of these spheres of breaking down barriers and bringing people in and giving people the knowledge, all the better. I mean, women are the best business leaders. We often get the better returns, and we need to lift more women up. And I think I was saying to Mirella only yesterday that my hope actually is that we start to see the returns to women in business come down. And you might go, why? Because if they're coming down, it means you've got more women in business, because at the moment, only people who make it are the absolute cream. So undoubtedly, they're going to have the high returns. But when we start having equal returns for men and women, then we've got equal opportunities for men and women. And there's such a long way to go before we get there. So I'm delighted by your message. And if ever I can help, it's something that is a passion of mine. So I'm very much open to being on forums like this and trying to do what I can to help people understand how finance is a tool, and it's something that you can use to help you get where you want to get to.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much,
Thank
Sara.
you.
Thank you. We are very excited and very grateful for the time.